Good morning, everybody. I pray that all is well with each and every one of you. Welcome to our first of 10 financial fitness seminars for this 2021 year. We are stretching this year. This is our year to stretch. 2021, we have declared this is our year to stretch, to extend, to go to higher and deeper levels of integrity and faithfulness and commitment in four particular areas: in faith, in family, and in fitness. But today we are focusing on finance. And so I want you to come on in for our financial seminar this morning. It's going to be just about at an hour long, but come in, share this today. This is not a church service. This is not a prayer meeting. We're not here to tarry, but we are here to get better. We're here to get better in how we take care of our human and natural affairs, particularly today in the area of insurance. Let me share something with you. African Americans make up approximately 13.2% of the population in the United States of America. But at the same time, we make up 23.8% of the population that's under the poverty line. And part of that is because we have not developed and trained ourselves to healthy habits in taking care of our financial lives. And I believe that if we are ever going to walk out of that stereotype and break that curse, that we have to do some things differently. We're great at having worship. We're great at singing, dancing, and shouting and praying. In many cases, we are great at innovating and making contributions to the world. But as it relates to taking care of our personal affairs, that is an area that many of us can grow in. And so get some people in the room. Come on, get some people in the room this morning. Get some people in the room this morning, because we are going to talk about a very, very important topic, which is life insurance. Of course, I am not the presenter today. I'm a musician and a preacher by trade. That is what I do. And I haven't even been that great in matters such as taking care of insurance and finance. But in the year 2020, I made a shift to become and do better. And so now the Lord has positioned me in 2021 to put you in the position, and all of us in the position, to stretch even further. So I need those of you who are on with me. I'm going to go check and see who we got. Say something to me this morning. Good morning, Minister Sharon Smith. I need a couple more of you to share this. Everybody that's watching right now, press that share button, even if you cannot stay on this morning. Check that share, but click that share button so that we can share this information with everybody that's connected to us. As you continue to enter, I want to thank God for Pastor Faye, who has been vociferously securing our monthly presenters. Thank God for her, and thank God for all of you who are coming in. Good morning, Deacon Johnny. Everybody press that share button for me. Just by the way of announcements, please check our social media page. I left there our official announcement of the passing of our senior church mother, Mother Vicey Dallas, who went home to be with the Lord on yesterday, 96 years old. And we praise God for Mother Dallas's life, and she left a tremendous legacy. We're going to miss her, but we will keep you updated on all of the details concerning her homegoing services. Good morning, Lady Doris Hines. Good morning, Lydia Davis Biddle. Everybody that's coming on in, come on in and share with us. Also, please remember, tomorrow morning at 10:10, I'll be on for our pre-service chat, but at 10:30, we will be having our communion worship service. Communion is tomorrow. Write that in the comment box. Communion is tomorrow. Since communion is tomorrow, if you came past the physical location at 869 Derbyshire last week, you were able to not only get oil, but you were also able to get your communion sacraments. If you weren't able to pick those up, you can consecrate your own communion sacraments at home. So go ahead, set your table, get the family together. Those of you who live with your families, if you're single, get your communion, and we'll commune virtually connected through our various streaming platforms. All right, so are you all ready? Are you all ready to jump into our presentation this morning? Good morning, Ernestine. Good morning, Lakeisha, everybody. Listen, I keep telling you, I can see who can share. or who has shared. Come on now, saints, let's do better. Press that share button. I'm going to bring to the stage at this time our very special. Hello, I think I'm back. Uh-oh. Did you lose me? Y'all can still hear me? Can everybody, if you can still hear me, say something. Y'all can still hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Okay, y'all can still hear me. Okay. I thought my computer went to seed on me there for a minute. I'm going to bring to the stage at this time our very, very special guest who is going to be leading this time of gathering. Welcome with me, Mr. Stan Harrison.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Saints.
Good
Pastor,
morning.
thank you very much for a wonderful introduction. I certainly appreciate it. Pastor Faye, I can't thank you enough for giving me an opportunity to be amongst you once again, be in the presence of good people. It is indeed a pleasure of mine. Hope Fellowship, this is not our first visit, and certainly it will not be our last visit.
Yes.
Pastor Faye and I go back about 5 years when I came into the area, and we have been going back and forth with sharing information and ideas. So I just thank her so much for giving me the opportunity to be here with you. As you can tell, I'm here in my wonderful office here in New Smyrna Beach, so only a few clicks away from Derbyshire. One of my favorite places to come and visit and see clients up there. So I just want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to come speak with you. As humble I must be, I just enjoy very much so, Pastor, what you said this morning. You took pretty much every word that I wanted to mention today and you put it out there. And I cannot thank you enough for making it our mission to be faithful, to be healthy, to be fit, to be strong, especially when it comes down to our finance, because we know that our finances go so effortlessly with our health. So, in my studies over the past 27 years in this business, I found that health and finance go hand in hand. And as you mentioned, this is not a prayer service, this is not church. However, it is very spiritual for us to really talk about, what is important to our families, and that is us. And how do we protect that? And pretty much that's what we're going to talk about today. How do we protect our families? How do we take care of our loved ones? How do we leave that legacy? We talked about Mother Dallas and leaving a legacy because, let's be honest, I'm a person of faith myself, and I believe in leaving an inheritance for your children's children. And that inheritance comes more than just from wisdoms. It comes from financial resources. And there is a reason why, though we consume or, populate about 13-14% of America, why are we in such poverty situation? It's a systemic situation that we are dealing with, one that we can, in fact, change.
Yes.
But in order to change, our habits have to change and our decision making have to change. One of my primary reasons for being here is to let people know that, as a child growing up, I grew up in this small town called Miami, Florida. And I would see what we call the debit agents come around the neighborhood in their vehicles, and they would collect the 25 cent or 50 cent for the, very small policies. And after some time, those policies would eventually go away. And that person that mom and dad and grandma would give that 50 cent or a quarter to eventually would go away. So the policy would be gone. And folks like myself, insurance professionals, we didn't abide by the rules. So, my purpose being here and the reason why I stand strong is because I want to show people, hey, we can be here and we can have integrity and we can do it the right way.
That's right.
And so I'm here to do it the right way and to let people know that yes, we can do business with each other. Yes, we can do it with integrity. Yes, we can do it with faithfulness. Yes, we can do it with intelligence. And yes, we can remain here until the day that we, of course, pass our last breath. And that's what it's all about, saints. It's all about taking care of family. So before I get started with the presentation, I'm going to ask Pastor Willie, and thank you so much, Pastor Willie, for putting all the technology together and helping me through this morning, because we needed you more this morning than ever before. So we're going to start off with a short video, about 4 minutes. This is something that was filmed as a result of me not being able to be in two places at one time due to technology. So we actually had to record this. Took about 45 minutes me recording in my office. I'm thankful that I had folks in my team that were able to put this thing together. So, Pastor Willie, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and suit it up.
I'm a safe driver. I'll always be here to take care of my family.
Our life together will be perfect. We'll be together forever.
I take great care of my health. Nothing's gonna happen to me.
It'll never happen to me.
Or me.
Or me.
Or me. I've got it all figured out. Life is unpredictable. How can you be prepared for the unexpected?
My name is Stan Harrison. I'm an agent here in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. People generally don't think about life insurance because most of the times life insurance is one of those products that no one tells you to buy. It's the one product that families don't really talk about. People are generally a little bit skeptical when talking about life insurance because they have this belief system that if you begin to talk about it, something will happen. The reality is, life insurance is one of those pivotal decisions and the thing that you need to make sure that you take care of almost immediately. Unfortunately, most of us think about life insurance when there's already been a diagnosis or when we're older, and generally at those times, the cost is a little bit prohibitive. The best time to buy life insurance, I tell folks all the time, is when you're healthy and when you're young. Oftentimes people ask me, I've had a medical diagnosis or I have medical issues. Believe it or not, life insurance is still available to you. Listen, no one in this world is perfect. Insurance companies understand that. So we have tailored policies for folks that have had some form of medical situation. The only time that it's too late for life insurance is when you're there in that coffin, is when your family says goodbye. The one thing that we cannot change is the inevitable, and that is we're gonna go eventually. So my biggest question as an agent is, if you know something is guaranteed, why not do something to make sure that that's taken care of? I consider life insurance your absolute last love letter. You can leave a legacy. It really is about your family, you as a father or you as a parent, leaving a legacy for your children's children. And, a lot of that is embedded in, certain scriptures of the Bible. One of the things that I ask, my clients a lot of times when they're doubtful about the need for life insurance, I often ask them, what will happen to your family if you don't make it home today? And I often ask them, how do you feel about that? Most times people never get an opportunity to talk about what's truly important to them. What connections do I have with my children? What connections do I have with my parents? There's a lot of talk in our society about what matters and what's truly important. And it's you and the relationships that you build throughout your life. Oftentimes we go through life and we spend time doing all the things that are unimportant, the things that are fun, the social media, the televisions, the movies. We do a lot of things to entertain us. The average American family spends more time planning a vacation than actually planning for their future. A lot of times we don't think about the money that we need to plan for a proper retirement or, take care of our family when that event happens. We talk about the Benjamins, so to speak. As a life insurance professional, I look at Benjamin Franklin and I look at the fact that, he had a very, very important quote, and it was very influential in my life as a life insurance agent. When I read the quote, it really made sense to me, why I truly need to be in this business. I want to provide something to help the community. I have an opportunity to change lives. One of my managers taught me once, people generally don't plan to fail. They simply fail to plan. So the time is now. Make the decision today. Don't wait until tomorrow, because tomorrow's not promised to you. In fact, the next moment is not promised to you. By the time some of you view this video, I may be here, I may not be here, but I can tell you this, my family is well taken care of, and I'm prepared when that happens. I've never seen an individual get younger or healthier. Either you die before you retire, or you retire before you die. So why not spend just a little bit of time planning for that? Talk to someone, a professional that you can really trust. Someone that understands these complex things. Someone that understands you as an individual. someone that respects your family enough to help you make the proper choices and the decisions that you can make. And that's what I think is truly important. Take action and make sure that your life is not a financial burden to others.
Thank you. I get goosebumps every time I see that video, because that video was actually filmed about 5 years ago, and it's still true to this day. Pastor Willie, if you don't mind, if you want to go over to screen number 3, Are You Healthy? I want to just share a story. That video was taken during a time that, Black lives mattered. And, if Black lives truly mattered, what are we going to do for ourselves? What choices are we going to make for ourselves? And how are we going to value ourselves? It's important for us to be careful that we don't expect other people to value our lives more than we value our lives ourselves. So if our lives truly mattered, let's value that by taking care of that. Take care of your health, take care of your finances. Just like Pastor McGee said earlier, let's stretch our faith, let's stretch our family, let's stretch our fitness, and most certainly let's stretch our finances. And one of the ways we can do that is by insuring your life, because let's be honest, we don't know the day nor the time. There's only one guarantee in life, and that is you will take your last breath, just like I, and just like my mother and father, who have both predeceased me prior. And again, this particular PowerPoint that you're about to view was created prior to their death. And a lot of features inside of this PowerPoint really was geared toward them and folks like them that, though they believed in life insurance, they didn't know that there was a possibility of getting life insurance. So again, I mentioned earlier today, having the integrity of being able to insure both of your parents, because both passed away unexpectedly at a very young age. In fact, my mother, just a couple years ago in 2019, believe it or not, at the rightful age of 62. Therefore, it's very important to me to make sure that, folks are protected and taken care of. So the question is here, hey, are you healthy? We found a little typo this morning. Are you healthy? You may not be unhealthy. However, you may be uninsurable. So I take this and I go to a question of today, which is, hey, Stan, I am concerned about COVID. If I have COVID, will the policy pay? I can speak for the policy that I offer, and all of the policies that I offer, we do pay for COVID. And a lot of other medical situations that I mentioned in the video, we insure people at the top of what we call the medical food chain all the way down, folks that are partially in a medical state, who may not think that they can get insurance either because they've had a prior medical diagnosis or because they are suffering some situation. So we're going to keep this presentation going today. We're going to keep it very sweet, and we're going to leave time for questions at the end. So Pastor Willie, you can move on to the next. So did you know that typically right now, only 75% of folks in America actually have a life insurance policy outside of work? Most people do have life insurance, and that is at work. Next slide, please. So doing the right thing. Let's talk a little bit about, what people typically tell me about life insurance. Stan, I have it at work. I have one, but I don't know really what I have. My family will take care of it. Social Security will take care of it, or my church will make sure that I'm put away. Let's be honest, folks. These are some of the excuses that I received. Being in this business for over 25 years, I've heard just about every excuse known to man. And the worst excuse I've ever heard was, why should I leave money for them to get another spouse? And that's probably the most ridiculous response I've ever received to date. So again, I hear it all the time. But during COVID, there has been a shift. More and more and more people are actually calling and asking questions about life insurance. And it's one of those things that we're happy to provide. And to you, we will definitely give you that opportunity to have that conversation and design a policy or multiple policies that will fit you. Next, show your hand. Okay. Who has witnessed the burial of a friend or family member who've had some form of life insurance or who did not have life insurance? Who has helped in this room pay for the cost of a funeral? I certainly can raise my hand. And who many believe here that everyone is entitled to a policy. Everyone is not entitled to a policy, and many of us have witnessed the burial of a friend or family, some of which who have and have not had life insurance. One of my favorite aunt, who's no longer with us, and I was very new in the insurance business. I asked her, "Hey, aunt, do you have life insurance?" She says, "Of course, baby, I have it on the job." She got sick, and on that job she was sick for an extended period of time, and so long that the job let her go only weeks prior to her passing away. The funeral home would not put her body away unless they received money from the family. We all have experienced this story. In fact, I received a call just yesterday from a family down in Miami who was experiencing the same thing. The family had to scramble and get together and come up with funds to make sure that her funeral would go on as planned. I personally had to come out of the pocket with several $1,000s to make sure that this happened. And I made a vow to myself, not another person would come in my presence and not hear about the importance of life insurance. So I'm going to go back to the example of the family that called me just yesterday. I visited them only a couple weeks ago when they buried a dear member of their family, not realizing at the time, but then they too had to come up with resources in order to bury that family member. One of the matriarchs of the family called me yesterday and said, "Stan, we had to do it again. We need your help." So we'll be, driving down 95 either later today or tomorrow to take care of that family and make sure that they are taken care of. Next. Did you know, of course, that you can own multiple life insurance policies and that you can make it a gift to your church and that gift could be tax deductible? These are some of the key things that most people don't understand about life insurance is that the benefits of life insurance go directly to your beneficiary. They bypass probate. They bypass the infighting that goes on within the family. They allow you to make decisions now so that your funds and the money that you want to leave and the financial resources that you want to leave behind go directly to the individuals whom you want it to go to, regardless of whom that is. And that can be a younger person. It can be an older person. It could be a friend. It could be a neighbor. It could be anyone that you want to receive it. So that is something that you own and that you control with your policy. Irregardless of the type of policy that you have this right as the owner of that policy. Next slide, please. The average funeral home cost right now, between the funeral home, the cemetery, the headstone, the marker graving, the opening and closing of the ground, the opening and closing of the vault, we all know, we all have gone through this. And back then, back in 2015, when this particular PowerPoint was created, was around $9,200. And that number has remained stable. However, the number that has not remained stable is the cost of cremation, which has quadrupled over the past 4 years. At some point, you would drive up and down ISB and you would see a billboard that says a cremation could cost as low as $695. Now a cremation is just around $3,000. So a simple cremation could cost about a third of what a normal funeral would cost. And this is a very average funeral right now. So we know the cost is increasing and we know deaths are increasing primarily due to COVID. And I'll reiterate again, COVID is an insurable act. So if someone does pass away due to COVID, the policy would pay 100%. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about the types of life insurance. Basically, there's two types of life insurance. One is called temporary or term life insurance. The other one is called whole life, permanent life insurance, or a variation which is called universal life insurance, which because of the complexities of universal life insurance, we won't gravitate to that area today. We'll stick with the two basic forms, which is term life insurance and whole life insurance. Term life insurance is simply this: it is temporary, it is for a term. So it provides temporary insurance for a family for that temporary period of time, either 1 year, 5 years, or up to 30 years at a time. There is no cash value feature. Typically, the premium that you start off with, you keep it for that term. But after that term ends, the policy goes away and there is no refund of that premium. After the renewal of that policy, the policy can, in some cases, be renewed. But if that policy is renewed, it is renewed at the current rate. So basically based on age and health of that particular individual. At that time, however, you have opportunities, depending on the company, to convert that policy to a whole life or permanent policy. And your agent, if they are versed professionally, they will be able to guide you properly in that process. Next slide. We'll talk a little bit about whole life on the next slide. Whole life insurance is what we call permanent insurance. This is the policy that remains with you your whole life, and hence the term whole life. Stays with you forever. Whatever premium you buy that policy at, that premium should remain for the remainder of that policy, regardless of your age. This type of policy develops cash value that you can use while you are living. You can use it for a specific purpose, whether it's college, whether it's a vacation, whether it's buying that nice boat, whether it's even using it to pay for a family's funeral. Yes, the money is accessible for you for any purpose. It is your money. I'm going to reiterate, it is your money. Therefore, when we are stretching, when we are becoming financially fit, this is the type of policy that I gravitate toward to, because it gives us guarantees, it gives us peace of mind, it protects our family, it leaves us a legacy. It has no questions when it comes down to the uses, the ownership, and the benefit of that policy. Next slide, please. Okay, so let's talk about how life insurance is used and what we call the benefactor of those types of policies. Term life insurance, the one that we talked about before, the temporary policy. It is good so long as you pass away during the term of the policy. 99% of policies that you have on the job would consist of term insurance. 99% of the policies that you see advertised on television, on the internet, over the phone are primarily term life insurance. Why? Because only 1% of term life policies actually pay out a benefit. Only 1%. Because most of us live longer than the term. What happens with term insurance is that as we age, the cost of the policy begins to increase, and so much so it increases higher than we can afford it. So it's okay, it's cheap enough or inexpensive enough earlier in the term of the policy, but as we age, in most cases, the policies do go up in premium and it becomes cost ineffective. We cannot afford the policy down the line, which is the reason why we promote the use of whole life insurance, especially when it comes down to us. We as a people have generally been a little bit risk adverse, so we want to have that ironclad guarantee, one in which whole life does give you. 90% of whole life policies actually pay out a benefit because most people actually use the policies for the purposes, which is leaving a legacy and providing the family with some benefits. A variation of whole life insurance is called final expense. And this is the policy that as you age and you become a little bit older, let's be honest, and you may have a few medical situations, not of course, unlike anyone else, but 98% of final expense policies typically pay out a benefit to the family or whomever is deemed the beneficiary of that policy. Next slide, Pastor Nelson. The benefits of any life insurance policy, of course, and particularly the final expense policy, of course, it can be used for the burial and other items such as final medical bills, other debts. It can be used to pay directly to the beneficiary, whether that beneficiary is a child starting a business. We know that the premiums are fixed. We've spoke about that before. some of the other benefits. There is no waiting period. And of course, no medical exams, no blood work. So a lot of times we want to get a policy on Ray Ray or our child or our cousin or our mothers and our fathers, and we don't want to be burdened by their untimely death. So this policy is available. We typically write this policy on a lot of folks between the ages of 50 and 80 because this particular policy has a standard that you have to be between that age range in order to receive this policy. Other policies are available outside of that age range, but typically after the age of 80, most policies are not available for anyone. Next slide, please. Let's talk about confidence a little bit. So confidence is depicted in this picture. I like this picture because it's an image of a cat walking past a group of canines. This is the confidence that I have to demonstrate on a daily, dealing with people telling me, no, it's not important. It's not important for them. This is not something that they concern themselves with. Just one of those things that, I have to be very, very strong and make sure that you're receiving the proper information and the proper dialogue when it comes to your life insurance. So when Pastor Faye and I began to, talk about this presentation, and we had what I call a heart-to-heart conversation about what do we really want to talk about? What do we want our audience to hear? What questions you guys have out there? A couple questions that came to our minds, and that is, what can life insurance really do for you? The number one thing that life insurance can do for you is, of course, it gives you peace of mind, knowing that when you go to sleep tonight, when you wake up tomorrow, or if you don't wake up tomorrow, your family will be well taken care of, as I mentioned in the video. Protection of your family. Let's say you own a home or you have debt. There was a comedic movie out there that talks about, and I think it's Chris Rock. He said, most of us, when we die, we leave a bill instead of a will. I want you guys to stretch your faith. I want you to stretch your financial fitness. And I want you to leave a will in the form of life insurance. I don't want you to leave a bill because a bill does nothing to anybody but continues to keep us in debt. So let's be responsible. Let's do the right thing. Let's take care of our families. Let's ensure our lives, because if our lives really matter, we will take care of our lives together. Let's leave a legacy. So a lot of money that's out there right now, and a lot of people who started businesses didn't start it because they became a financial success overnight. A lot of businesses started or grew or even survived because of life insurance. Let's be honest. Let's talk about three different companies. Let's talk about Disney World. Let's talk about Walt Disney. Let's talk about Ray Kroc and McDonald's. And there's so many other companies that we can talk about. Pampered Chef is another one. All of these companies, they use life insurance to either start their companies, grow their companies, or survive during a market downswing when things weren't going well. That's the beauty of life insurance. It is yours. It should be used while you are living. And that's, again, the beauty of permanent life insurance or whole life insurance, because you have the ability to use it. And I know there's a lot of critics out there and a lot of television personalities who talk about only buy term insurance. Those very folks come to me and buy permanent life insurance because they know the value in it. 90%, and I repeat, 90% of some banks' assets are tied into life insurance. Why? Because it's one of the strongest investments out there. Is it designed to be an investment? No. Life insurance is not an investment. It is a promise to pay a stated value to your family or to your beneficiaries when you pass away. There is no if, there's only a when. And that when may not come today, it may not come tomorrow, but someday it will be here. Next question. What happens to your family if you don't have life insurance? What happens to your family? They not only lose you, they lose your presence, they lose your wisdom, and they lose your income. You can go back to that screen, Pastor Nelson. That was actually a very, very good screen. And that was slide number 14, by the way. What happens again? What happens to your family if you don't have it? They lose everything. They lose you. They lose your wisdom. They lose your income. They lose your presence. They lose that person that they've depended on for so many years. And it's hard enough as a family to lose the person. Now they're dealing with the financial strains and responsibilities of not only having to deal with this burial, but now having to deal with the final expenses that you have left. In addition to that, they have to now make ends meet with half of the income coming into the household. Okay. So, last but not least, some of the living benefits of life insurance, and we talked about these before, but let's reiterate. Again, we talked about the permanency of the policy. Let's go back. Let's just stay on slide number 14, Willie, right there. That's great. We talked about the permanency of the policy. You know that your premium is locked in. You know that you're going to have cash value available to you. You know that your policy is locked in and you have that security in case you're diagnosed with a situation. So let's say, unfortunately, you diagnosed with one of these ailments that are out here today, whether it be COVID or HIV or cancer or high blood pressure or heart disease or whatever it may be. Once you get that policy, you no longer have to worry about those things because once your policy is in place, it is locked in for life. Some of the immediate actions to be taken by you: if you have a policy, review that policy with an insurance professional. I will be happy to review any policy that you have. I do it as a service. I do it for free. Why? Because I love you. I want you to have the absolute best. If you have a policy that is designed to do what you want it to do, I will vouch for it and I will tell you to continue. If you have a policy that is not there for you, I will tell you the truth. Having confidence to tell you the truth is one of the big things about this industry. It is the one thing that gives you integrity in this business. Number two, determine if you have enough. So what your family may have needed 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago or 50 years ago may not be what your family needs today. You have made some changes in your life. You may have additions to your family. You may have adopted grandchildren. You may have now brought in some children into your household. You may have extra expenses, educational debts, things along those lines, and to take care of the household should something happen to you. I want to make sure that my home is completely paid for my family. So I make sure that there's a policy in place for that. I want to make sure that my office is taken care of. So I have a policy in place to make sure that happens. I also had a policy to make sure that my mom's home was taken care of in case something happened to me. Unfortunately, she left this earth before me. So therefore, that policy is no longer relevant. So I switched the needs of this policy to take care of the family members in my life. Okay. And of course, do you have the protection for your children? And if you don't have a policy, let's talk. Okay. Let's find out how we can get you started. If not today, maybe tomorrow. If not tomorrow, maybe someday in the near future. But I'm here. I'm available. Please give me a call. I apologize for that. So give me a call. My phone number, in case you don't see the full chat, is 386-427-5277. My office is here. I have a group of 7 wonderful young ladies who are here to help you. They have access to my calendar, and they will be happy to put you on with me, either virtually, over the phone. And again, we take care of folks. So 99% of the policies that we write today, we write them virtually because of the current situation. But you're welcome to come in, visit with me. I'll come out, visit with you, just to make sure that you're completely taken care of. So thank you so much for your time. We're going to turn it back over to Pastor Nelson or Pastor McGee or Pastor Faye, whomever is going to lead us. And I will be happy to answer any questions that you have at this time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stan. That was an amazing, amazing presentation. So well presented, really straightforward, and to the point. We do have a first question, and the first question is from Johnny Van, who's asking, what is your stance on AD policies?
AD policy stands for accidental policies, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Van. Those policies are okay. However, they only pay for a specific purpose. That means if you pass or if your family pass away as a result of an accident. Typically, and only 1% of folks are going to pass away due to an accident. So therefore, what about the other 99%? Why not get a policy that's going to pay for 100% of the reason why you pass away? So don't I personally would not invest in a policy that only pays or out of benefit at only 1%. I would invest my money in something that I know I have a firm 100% on that.
Awesome. Great. What is a good policy to cover your children?
I like a small life insurance, a whole life policy to cover children. In fact, I personally have children and I cover all of my children under a whole life policy, and I do it under what I call a limited pay life insurance policy. What that means is it's a whole life policy that I pay on for only a certain period of time, whether that be 10 years, 15 years, or 20 years. After that period of time, I'm done paying for that policy for life. That policy continues indefinitely. The cash value continues to grow indefinitely. And I'm free to use that money because I own the policy for the purposes of that child or for whatever purpose. So I really, really like the idea of the limited pay whole life insurance. If you cannot afford the limited pay whole life, you can simply get a very simple whole life policy on your child or your grandchild, and we're talking less than $20 a month. So we're not talking a whole lot of money, and that $20 locks into the age of that child. So therefore, even if that child is 40 or 60 or 90 years old, that $20 premium is still going to be the same. And the value of that policy, unlike the debit companies that I mentioned earlier, the value of that policy will continue to grow. The one thing that you want to be careful on with your life insurance is to make sure that the policy that you purchase is with a company that has financial strength and with a company that's going to grow the policy through this concept called dividends. The dividends allow the policy to continue to grow and keep up with inflation, because $25,000 today is not going to be valued at $25,000 50 years from now. We all know that the price of stamps 10 years ago was about 22 cents. Today, it's almost 55 cents for that same stamp. So we know we have to keep up with inflation. Just like Pastor McGee said, folks, we have to stretch and be financially fit. So we've got to make proper decisions. I'm here to make sure that you make the right choice.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Johnique, for those amazing questions. Anybody else? Anybody have any other questions that you'd like to throw into the chat today? People are sending up hearts and thumbs up. They're really enjoying this time of engagement. I do want to revisit something with regards to insurance and covering African-American people. You know, we unfortunately historically have been subject to different and higher levels of comorbidities than others, and, you know, diseases and sicknesses and illnesses and infirmities. And there's several, you know, several to be named. But many of us have used that as a hindrance towards having a conversation about life insurance because of the rejection of potentially not being covered, or the potential expense of covering oneself when they have a illness or infirmity. So can you deal with that just a little bit more deeply for us?
I will be happy to, and thank you for that question. Great question. As I mentioned in the video, life insurance companies understand that no one has perfect health. You know, there's something, you know, we're individuals, you know, we're like snowflakes, just like God said, you know, none of us are going to be perfect. We're like grains of sand. We're all going to be different. We're all going to have different issues. Policies are actually designed with this feature in mind, Pastor. So it allows us to adjust the level of the policy and adjust the level of the premium to offset the additional risk that the insurance company may have to take. So there's 3 results of making the request for the policy. Number 1, the policy could be issued just as it is applied for. Number 2, it could be issued with a better rate. So let's say your health is better than standard. You may have better high blood pressure. You may have a better height weight ratio, and that policy could be issued at a better rate, or what we call a preferred rate. That happens quite a bit, especially with us because of our body structure. We have a higher bone mass ratio. Typically men of us, of our own, we generally have a higher muscular mass, which allows our metabolism to be a little stronger, which allows us to earn what we call preferred rating on a lot of policies. However, there are ones that, and let's be honest, some people are just uninsurable. For those who are uninsurable, we have other methods that we can use to save, to make sure that that family is still taken care of by insuring other members of that family. And just like I mentioned, being able to utilize either a cash value feature of some of those other policies, or a savings feature, or some other type of financial instruments available, which we haven't talked about, which I won't spoil because I understand you guys are doing this throughout the year. So we can talk a little bit about it. If you guys invite me back, I'll be happy to come talk about some annuities, talk about some mutual fund or stock investments, because that's what we encourage folks who are not able or not healthy enough to get the policy. They can use the same premium and invest and allow those investments to grow, earn dividends from those investments, take the returns of those dividends, reinvest those dividends, and build a sizable nest egg. So at the time, and what we have to do, let's be careful of, so I'm going to preempt whomever is going to be on this show in the future, you have to basically do what is called a TOD, and write that down, TOD, transfer on death. So therefore, that investment vehicle that you create, which I definitely encourage, whether you're young or old, we have to stretch ourselves financially. So I know I'm getting into probably the next or 2 or 3 down the line, which I'm okay with. I'm versed in all of them. Once we get on there, hey, make sure that you have that transfer on death. And if you don't have that transfer on death, you already have that policy in place or that account, put that transfer on death. Myself, I had to do it because, if something happens to me, I want to make sure that those funds go directly to whomever I want them to go to. And then they receive what is called, and remember this, they receive a step up in basis, which means that the value is greater, especially if the value of the account is higher than it was when I initially began, or when I began to make my initial contribution. So again, this is one of those very, very nice, and I'll say it like this, one of those very nicely hidden financial, how do I put this, Pastor McGee? Help me out here. Nicely hidden ways to keep us out of the market.
Got it.
Let's just put it like that.
Yes.
These are the things that I'll show you and I'll share with you that they didn't want me to know. But I'm going to tell you, because if you look behind me, you'll see a bookshelf that's full of books. And I have a bookshelf at home that's about 3 times that size.
Wow.
Because I believe that if I'm going to teach it, I got to study it, I got to understand it, and I got to be able to share it with you. No different than Pastor McGee. He's got to study that Bible up and down to be able to share that word with you.
Wow. Thank you so much for answering that. That was really, really good. And I hope that has helped to alleviate some of your concerns and fears for those who do have ailments and infirmities, that there is still a way for you to set aside funds in a similar way to insurance, so that at the time of death, you do have something to pass on to this next generation, something that is sizable and something that helps to leave, as Stan mentioned, an inheritance for your children's children. So thank you so much. If there aren't any other questions, make sure I don't rush because I want to make sure I get to everybody. But if there aren't any other questions, I want us to see this information from Mr. Harrison here, State Farm Insurance. As you see, he's very, 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 very well versed in all various types of insurance policies and other matters concerning investments and the like. I'm telling you, we bring the best to Hope Fellowship, and he is one of the best. So I want you all to make sure you give him a call. His number's there on the screen, 386-427-5277. And as I've told you throughout the year, the best way to start is to start. Even if you're starting small, start small, but start. So press past the fear and sometimes that reticence and hesitation, and dial the number. Just dial the number. Have the conversation. That's a part of the starting process. And as Mr. Stan said, even if it's $20 a week, you start with what you have and you allow God to grow you from there. Thank you, Stan. Thank you to all who have joined us today. People are giving the hand clap emojis. Yes, because this was fabulous and fantastic. A great way to start off our Saturday and a great way to get on the path to wholeness and greatness when it comes to our finance. We do have a question. Do you have an email address that we can share today?
Yes, you can email me at real simple. It's Stan, STAN, at StanTheInsuranceMan.net. And I'll say it again, Stan at StanTheInsuranceMan.net. So I know Pastor Nelson, I know you're out there. I know you're going to type it in. You're the man. Stan at StanTheInsuranceMan.net. And so you can reach me there at any time. I'm always available. I'm not always free, but I'm always
That's right. I love that. He's always available, but he's not always free.
Pastor McGee, can I say just one more thing? I just want to thank all of you who have supported me over these years and have made my agency the #1 agency in the state of Florida.
Wow.
Believe it or not, we are my little agency, and I call it a little agency with a big spirit. You know, we have the confidence to do things that no one ever thought someone like myself in this particular community can do. We have been #1 when it comes down to what they call protective investments throughout the nation. We have been the #1 agency when it comes down to long-term care. Some of you may have questions about long-term care, Medicare supplements, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, you name it. In the year of 2020, one of the worst, health pandemic years we've ever had in this country, this small little agency right here in Volusia County was the #1 agency in Central Florida when it came down to life insurance premium. This little office right here. So that's not because of me. That's because of you. That's because you have shared the good news about what we do to your family and to your friends. You have supported me. You've loved me like I love you. And you've decided for yourselves to do the right thing for your family. And you've helped us change that poverty rate and make it where our families are no longer going to be victims. If Kiki and Ray Ray isn't going to do it, we're going to do it for them.
That's
right.
We're
going to make it right. So thank you guys so much for your love, your care. I look forward to helping each and every one of you. And don't worry about it. I am free at times. So Pastor McGee, I can be free sometimes.
Well, I like that. We like free, y'all know. But at the same time, we are going to make sure that we start investing and continue investing in our own. And that's one of the things that I've been helping to create and craft a consciousness in the people of faith, particularly of the African-American context, that if we can go into other communities and spend all types of money on every type of thing, then we need to be able to do the same thing within our own communities to make sure that we support and build Black wealth.
Charity starts where?
At home.
At home.
At home and spreads abroad. Thank you again, Stan, and to all of you who have joined us today. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow in worship. Remember, it's communion worship tomorrow morning at 10:30 a.m. And this coming Tuesday, we get back into our VBI classes on Zoom. And so I look forward to seeing you then on Tuesday. And so God's going to continue to bless us as we continue to stretch in faith, family, finance, and in fitness. I wish you all an amazing rest of your day. Have some fun today. Make it safe because COVID is still real. Don't be out there maskless. And if at all possible, make your fun around the house because there are still thousands of people every day that are getting sick and dying, although the vaccine is being ramped up in terms of distribution. So continue to be well, continue to be happy, healed, and whole. I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Have an amazing day.